Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our How to Set Up an E-commerce Website event today. I'll be your host. My name is Sean with the University of Laverne Small Business Development Center program. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to create a lot of websites for both the University of Laverne, for myself, and as a consultant in the program to help others learn how to do the same. So we're excited to have you here for our event. And let's get into it. The first thing that we're going to talk about is our agenda. So we're going to talk about the elements of an e-commerce website. Then we're going to take those elements and put them into practice and actually demonstrate how they work. And then last but not least, and kind of sprinkled throughout our broadcast today, we have some free resources to help you put into practice a lot of what we're talking about. So the hopeful outcome is that you're going to walk away with the basics of how to build an e-commerce website and discover the resources to get you up and running quickly. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, working with clients over the years, the first question I usually discuss with clients is this going to be a do-it-yourself project, or is this something we're going to hire it out? Now, since you're here on a how to build an e-commerce website event or webinar, I'm going to make the assumption we're on the do-it-yourself bucket. But even if you plan to hire it out, I always tell clients it's good to do it yourself because, well, then you're going to know and have a better understanding of what you're asking your vendor, your contractor, or your web developer, what you're asking them to do. And I'm a big believer in the saying, a problem well defined is half solved. So by you making the investment of your time into a webinar like today and or taking it further is going to really benefit you down the road when it comes to working with that consultant or that web developer to help you achieve this beautiful website you envision. So later on in our broadcast, I also want to share a little bit of a resource called LinkedIn Learning that is available through most county library programs have free access. So LinkedIn Learning is a premium kind of a subscription service. But if you log into it, if you stay to the end of our demonstration, we're gonna show you how to get access to it for free and to learn more in detail what some of the elements of these website builders that we're not gonna go over today. We're gonna hit on the high notes when it comes to an e-commerce website. So when we're doing a website, I often compare this activity or this exercise to kind of like doing a business plan. We need to think about who we're targeting or our target audience is going to be. It's not going to be everybody. Granted, anybody is welcome to check out on our website, our e-commerce website, but we're going to have a target audience in mind, and we have to pick pictures, paragraphs, and things like that that really speak to that audience. And our goal, we want to keep it simple. Or on the screen it says smart, but we want them to buy now. So, keeping those goals in mind, but think about, okay, how much are we charging? What are we selling? A lot of these components are very similar to the exercise of a business plan, and they do coincide really well. But we want to keep those two goals and audience at the forefront of our mind as we're moving through this process. Now, when I start the conversation about web development, a lot of people's eyes kind of glaze over. They, kind of go, I kind of have an idea of what that is. Well, I like to use the analogy of a house because we're all pretty familiar with a house. And in this analogy, I would say, if I were to invite you over to my house, well, what would you use to get there? The street, right? In web development terms, that's the internet. We're all pretty familiar with, surfing the web. But in order to get to my house, I would give you my address so you can plug it in your GPS and get to the house and figure out which roads to take to get there. In web development terms, that is referred to as a domain name. And that's the www.yourcompany.com. But that's what you're going to type into your internet browser, right? To get there. Now, my house, my physical house, it takes up space, takes up land. In web development terms, we refer to that as web hosting. Your website is made up of a bunch of files, maybe large files, pictures and paragraphs, these text files, a bunch of files, and they're going to have to be stored somewhere on a server. And so we call that hosting. Now, then there's the house itself. And just like the three little pigs, the house can be, built out of straw, sticks, and bricks. This is the website or the web builder. You can build an e-commerce website from a variety of platforms. Today, we're going to just use Squarespace as an example to kind of show you how it works, but they all very, very similar to each other. And you can test them and take them for a spin, because the question we often get is, which one's best? But we'll get to that in a second. Now, if we're going to build a house, we're probably a physical house, you usually have a blueprint. And, the kitchen's going to go here, the bathroom's going to go here, the bedroom. It's very purposeful and laid out. Well, in web development terms, we refer to that as a sitemap. And I often tell clients when they're building a website is, every page on your website should have a very specific purpose. Just like a room in a house, you wouldn't have a room that didn't have a purpose. You want every page on your website to really be easy to navigate and be thought through. Now, you also hear this term sitemap when referred to like SEO and marketing, because we're going to create a file basically for your website of all of your pages. And we're going to upload that to search engines like Google or Bing or others to help them essentially navigate our house. If a friend were to come over, you're going to say, oh, bathroom's down the hall on the left, or, come on, I'm over here in the kitchen. That's what we're basically doing with these search engines, so they can find our website and the content that it has on the website. So these are some terms I wanted to kind of start out with as we set the tone for building an e-commerce website. There are a lot of builders. And to that question earlier of, Sean, which one's best? How can I get the cheat codes to just cut to the end? Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you it really is a personal preference. I have built on every platform that you see on the screen and then some. One that's missing here specifically for like e-commerce would be Shopify. But we've got Weebly, we've got Wix, we've got Squarespace and WordPress.com and WordPress.org. So there's a lot of different platforms, and honestly, you have to take them for a spin. What we're going to do today, we're going to take Squarespace for a spin, but I will encourage you to do what we do with Squarespace on your own and with others. And you'll see how they all do the same thing, just slightly different. And it's going to be important for you to find a template or a website builder that you like. And what might be perfect for me might not be perfect for you. And we want to make sure, based on the functionality, that it can do what you need it to do. So before we actually demo it, there's some other, I know we've gotten through some of the jargon and there's still some more sprinkled in, but I really want to hit home on some of the key aspects of an e-commerce website. Those being sales tax, ooh, right? Scary stuff. Shipping, oh, that's a tough one. Accepting payments and fulfillment. So let's tackle each one of these real quick before we get into the demo. Sales tax. What I tell clients is what's important here is to know about this ruling they call South Dakota versus Wayfair. And it was basically, it changed things back in 2018 on who has to charge tax and when. And on the screen, it says, it establishes an economic nexus. Simply stated, it requires sellers to collect sales tax in states where they exceed a threshold, a state mandatory transactional or monetary threshold. So let me show you what that means. This is just a blog article from Patriot Software. And we can see that in Alabama, their threshold is $250,000 in sales. If we sell more than $250,000 to customers in Alabama, now we have to go submit sales tax to them. But if we sell $249,000, we haven't crossed that economic nexus. Now, it can be monetary, and it can also be transactions. So in Alaska, the threshold's a little lower. It's $100,000 in sales or 200 transactions. So kind of sounds scary, but all just to say, there are apps that make this calculation process, this tracking easier for you. And we're going to see when you're evaluating, which plan to pick, which ones include that and that don't. So I guess all just to say, know about this. There's a nice little video we have linked here that we'll be sending out to everybody who registered, or dropping in the chat or the description of the video if you're watching this on social. But important to get familiar with it. Just know there's an app for that, so to speak, and don't get too bent out of shape, but know your requirements as you set up your website. Now, shipping. Oh, it is, this is a really important concept, or aspect. I won't say concept. It's an aspect of your e-commerce website, because we are going to first have to go down to the store and buy some shipping supplies. In our example, we're going to be selling skateboard t-shirts to show you a kind of example of how things work. But there's going to be an expense outside of just the website. So we're going to have to buy some shipping supplies. We're going to have to create what we call shipping rules. on our website. So if we don't ship to a particular location, maybe outside the country or even outside the state, if we want to just keep it focused on California, for example, people can't get through that checkout process and pay, and then we have to call them and say, "Oh, so sorry, we don't ship to Alaska," for example. But we're going to set up these rules, and you're going to see how that works. But at the end of the day, shipping should be ideally a net zero goal. You charge your customer what you're going to be paying for shipping. It shouldn't be a revenue or an expense, but sometimes it can influence, your marketing. If you buy a certain amount, you get free shipping. We've all seen things like that. But it's a really important concept or a thing to think about when it comes to setting up an e-commerce website. Because, for example, in my example, I'm gonna have to take this shirt down to, let's say USPS, to have it weighed. Will it fit in this this bubble mailer that's 8.5 by 11? And how much does it weigh, coupled with how far am I shipping it? So as you're setting up your e-commerce website, think about things like that. Next is accepting payments, and enter the term payment processor, and that is the middleman between you and your customer, the company that securely takes money from your customer's bank account and places it in your bank account. So those are companies like Square, Stripe, Authorize.net, etc. What I like to tell people is, one, know who your payment processor is, and they do charge for it, and not just, it's usually like 2.5, 2.9% plus a transaction fee, depending on their plan that you're on. But it's on the entire transaction. So not just the price of the t-shirt in our example, but the price of the t-shirt plus tax and shipping. That's what that 2.9% is calculated based on. And last but not least is going to be to test the whole transaction. Don't go live and start marketing until you've really worked out the kinks with your friends, your family, and others, and constantly have feedback loops in place to be able to gauge customer satisfaction. So you can see, is there's a problem with my checkout process? But accepting payments is a key one because this is an e-commerce website. So we're going to be doing transactions over it or through the website. And we're going to need a payment processor. The next term you'll often hear with an e-commerce website is this term fulfillment. And at first I was kind of like, well, what is fulfillment? It's the process of going and picking the shirt, packing the shirt, and shipping the shirt. So it's a fancy term, but pick, pack, and ship is what you can think about when we talk about the aspect of fulfillment. And in order to do that, we're going to buy and print shipping labels. You're going to see in a lot of these e-commerce website builders like Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, etc., that you can actually buy the shipping label right through the website. And you can sometimes get better pricing that way than going down and just buying your shipping label right there at the store, say. You can also customize some emails that go out. One customer goes through the process like, hey, thank you for your order, and a nice little picture of what they purchased. Along with once we've fulfilled the order, again, we picked, packed, and shipped it, will they get email notifications about, hey, your order has been shipped, and maybe a nice little tracking code. But I also say, scheduling pickups. So if you're shipping this from your house or your garage, you might not be able to, if someone ordered 100 t-shirts, you might not be able to fit that in the post box or post office box, or I mean the mailbox, sorry. We may have to schedule a pickup, and you can do that where, whether you're going down there or they're coming and picking things up from your front door or something else. But these are some key aspects to consider when we're building an e-commerce website, because it's a little bit different than a regular standard website that has a call to action of, I don't know, book an appointment or call us for a quote. So that's enough talk. Yeah, let's do some action, right? So what we're first going to do is we're going to go over to Squarespace. Now, I'm just demoing Squarespace today as an example, but they all, like I mentioned, you're going to have to take them for a test drive yourself and see which one's best for you. I'm already logged in, but most website builders, e-commerce, will give you a free, trial, so that you can kind of see the bells and whistles of their builder and why to go with them. So I'm already logged in. I'm just going to hit Get Started. And pretty much they're going to try to walk you through a bit of a wizard. You can skip this stuff if you want, but if you see a category that fits your type of business, go for it. Really what we're going to get to is, what do we want to do with the website? We want to sell products. There's a lot of things we can do, but right now I'm going to just kind of keep it focused on that. And we now with the advent of AI, a lot of them, the website builders want to, build with AI. I tend to encourage my clients to just build with, their regular editor because you can really see the full features of it. So I'm going to browse what they call templates. Some people, platforms will call them themes, templates, but basically these are dummy websites that have been pre-built that we can just replace the pictures, the paragraphs, the call to actions to some regard with our content, our pictures, our story. But the first step is usually picking a theme or a template that works best that you like. And this is where it's really personal preference. Like, do you like this one over that one? And it's no one's gonna say that one's better than the other. But as I browse this, the one that catches my eye is this one is just kind of like it's clean, it's very simple. So let's take a look at it. Now you can kind of continue to browse and see how things work, like when you mouse over things before you actually start editing the design. And they give you like a little option to, pick your color palette if you have a brand and a logo, perhaps with different colors. But this is, we're going to start with this design as an example, but you can buy what they call premium templates from different web developers or designers. So you really like a particular platform, let's say Squarespace, but you can't really fall in love with any of the designs, you can Google or look online for developers that have developed a template that may be a little bit more fancy for you. But we're just going to use this one as a basic website to then kind of show you now the next thing, which is the editor. So we've got this template that we either like or we love it or we don't, but we can work with. And immediately you're probably going to be brought into what the platform calls the editor view. And if we want to change stuff like your site title, you can see if I double click on this, it starts to move around and I can edit. Now, if I click on it, I get a little fly-in windows and stuff like that where I can change this, your site title to, let's say, Sean's Skate Shirts. If I had a logo, I could put that there. You can start to see how you can add elements, buttons. Just, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort or it takes some time, but it can be pretty intuitive. They'll have different design sections like, oh, if you want to include about your team, people, products, you can start to develop the website. And a lot of times people ask me, Sean, how much does it cost to have a website built for you? And it will depend because based on the functionality of what you're trying to do. But I would start with 2,000 bucks. And usually people are like, wow, Sean, $2,000. And I'm going, yeah, because you're paying me, a web developer, 100 bucks an hour for 20 hours worth of work to actually go through and get the pictures and upload a lot of stuff that you could probably do yourself. But you just don't have the time. So if you don't have the time, it's going to cost you your treasure, right? So, but I encourage you to click around, see what it can do. Let's say if we wanted to edit this section, they have let me go ahead and save. Let's exit. Let's go back out. And now if we look at the pages, when you pick a template, a lot of website templates come with what I call baked in pages that are pre-created for you, like a lookbook. But if we don't need it, we can delete it or just hide it. So here I just clicked on the little gear icon and it says enable page. I can turn that off and then I can hit save. And now lookbook goes away from the menu. Or if I want to change our about us page, I can click on that and you can see a picture and some Latin text that I need to then go in and edit to, tell them about my story at Sean's Skate Shirts and why we came to be made with love in Los Angeles. So this is that editing aspect, and it's really important for you to take these platforms for a test drive because they will work a little bit different, each platform. And you want to find one that you kind of go, I can do everything I like. It's got nice designs. It's got, the functionality I need. And that's where we can go to next because we're probably going to need to sell a product. So if I go back to home, this is kind of like this fly-in window. Some builders will have like a front end and a back end. This is one that's kind of like a hybrid where this is what customers will see, but we can start to edit things on this left-hand side. But under products and services, let's try to add a product so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. They'll give us a bunch of, what I call dummy products or things that we're going to have to edit so you can see how the website functions. But let's add a product. And this will be a physical product. There's different types of things that we could sell. So depending on your type of business, looking at those options is going to be key. Let's just say ES skate shirt. I'm going to add an image. Let's see here. If I upload from file, this is just a skateboarding brand of t-shirts that I used to like growing up. I've got their website here. I'm just going to copy some of their stuff as an example, but the description is going to be really important for your customer when they're checking out, making sure they're getting the right product. What is it made of? There's a lot that goes into this description that will also be important from an SEO standpoint. But I've got a picture, we got a name, we can give it a price. Let's say, I don't know, $15.99, and we'll make this on sale for a limited time only for, I don't know, $10.99. You can use your website to track stock. This little infinity sign here is just kind of like saying, okay, we always have stock in that particular product. But if we wanted to track it, if we wanted to have SKU numbers, all that is kind of variance, that would be good. Let's add some variance, like instead of color, let's do size. Let's do small. Let's do medium and large. I don't know. So this is where when people go through the checkout, they need to, pick a size before they can proceed. But then you got, fulfillment, like, we're going to be shipping this ourselves. But if you had some sort of fulfillment service, you can synchronize those. That would be important to know as you're building out an e-commerce website. If we wanted to organize, tops versus bottoms versus accessories, or, what are our major categories of the products that we're selling, or tags. But pretty much that's it. They give you some other marketing things to consider, like, okay, what is your, meta information and social share look like? So we can kind of tweak this and tighten it up to make it nice and pretty. But at a very basic level, we're adding products to the website. So we can save it and publish in web development terms means we can work on this website, we can click save. No one can see the changes until we hit publish. So that is kind of an important, when you're building a website, you'll see these buttons that say save and then publish. Just know save is for you to save your progress, but publish is to make it live, basically. So if somebody who visits your website, they can see the changes that you've made. But next one I kind of want to jump into is now we've gotten a little bit of behind the scenes in terms of picking a template, navigating the editor, and both adding a product. But let's take a look at the pricing. So down here, and usually when you set up a free trial, they're going to start saying upgrade or subscribe in this case. And we're going to look at all the different payment plans for their service, because this is everything in that house analogy. This is the hosting, this is the domain, and this is the house itself that we're building from Squarespace. And that's a lot. And they give you a lot of different things to sell you on. The big thing I would say that I would take a look at if you're looking at different plans and platforms is, where is it? Did I skip over it? Oh yeah, down here. Automatic tax calculation. So some plans will have it available, and it's going to be helpful for you as you're calculating tax and charging the right amount to just find probably a plan that has that kind of included. And let me show you what I'm talking about, because as we exit this and we kind of reference some of the things that we've already talked about when we say the elements of a e-commerce website, the sales tax, the shipping, the accepting payments, those things are all going to be under settings. So all this stuff is largely about like building out the website, marketing it, and other great things. But really, it's the settings that we have to work with. And that's why this little gear icon has a lot of different settings. So if I go to selling, because that's how they've categorized it for Squarespace, and I'm going to go over to taxes, this is where we're going to get options to set up tax for our store. And we first get kind of two options, is it included in my sales price, or am I going to add it at checkout? So I'll just say I'm going to add it at checkout. And I'm zooming in and out. Sorry about that. So if I add a rate, I can say, United States, let's scroll down, and then California, let's say, because we're based in California. So we got to charge sales tax. And then we can add zip code rates here if we wanted to enter like a specific zip code. Let's say, I don't know, 917 50 for Laverne. And that's, what, 10.25. But that's as close as you can get. And then if I'm in Chino Hills and I check out, we'd have to add a separate rate for each zip code. So 91709, and they're going to be, 7.75. So this is where it gets to be, you can have a lot of different rates. And this is where I really emphasize finding a plan that probably has automatic calculations baked in, because just in California, if we go over to the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, the folks that we are going to get a seller's permit and submit our sales tax information to, you can see all the different rates. Some of them, I think they go, they vary. And that's just in California. And then they get updated periodically. So it's just something to think about in terms of, one less thing to worry about. But let's go ahead and save those two rates. But basically, when someone goes through our checkout process, and we've all been there, says, okay, enter your shipping address. Well, that zip code now is going to be used to help calculate what sales tax is applied to the order. Now, we also talked about shipping, so that's another setting that they have under selling. So that's kind of where I'm at. And we're going to go down right below taxes to shipping. And there's a lot of different shipping options here. We have shipping options, we've got pickup options, we've got local delivery, and even fulfillment profiles. But we're just going to focus on like adding a shipping option for someone who wants it shipped to them for right now. So if we click on that, this is where things get a little bit specific, I guess is the word I would probably use. We can do a lot of different, rates based on our carrier, whether it's UPS or USPS or FedEx. So if you have a specific carrier you want to use, making sure that the e-commerce platform that you use will integrate well with the platform. There are other third-party tools like, Shippo and a lot of like shipping apps. If you use one of those, make sure that it works well with the platform you're planning to use. But at a very basic level, let's just say we're going to do flat rate. And we're going to say it's going to be $6.50 per item. They have per item and per order. And the first time I set up an e-commerce website, I did it was just per order. I thought, oh, someone's going to visit the website. They're going to buy one shirt and they're going to check out. And I'm going to charge them that $6.50 in shipping. Well, then someone ordered two and I was like, oh, dang. So you really want to now take the time, look at what you're shipping. This is a bubble mailer, 8.5 by 11 that I'm gonna ship a shirt in. And you really have to see the weight. I know it's 12 ounces. And I know it's first class mail that is the cheapest for me to be able to buy that label. This is where e-commerce shipping really gets specific in terms of, well, can you fit one of these shirts in one of these or two of them? So you got to kind of get creative, almost like Tetris in some ways, of looking at what your shipping supplies are and what you can fit given those orders. So here I'll just say standard shipping. I'll say 3 to 5, not 30, 3 to 5 business days. And shipping zones, I know it's going to be anywhere in the United States. And not just anywhere. Now we have 54 states. And if I remember in my civics class, there was only 50 states. So why do we have more? Well, there's District of Columbia. Okay, that makes sense. But down here at the bottom, am I going to ship to the Armed Forces of Americas and Europe and the Pacific? Maybe not. And maybe I'm just going to ship to the 48 states. So I might take away not Alabama, I meant Alaska. Looking at where you're shipping. But I know to ship this shirt, it's going to cost, based on the weight, the parcel, and the distance, or what they call zones, is going to cost me $6.50 on average to ship, depending on how close they are to my location. So you heard me at the beginning say shipping, shipping, shipping. It's a real important part of an e-commerce business, and you'd be surprised that you really want to be able to know what the cost is. So it isn't too terribly expensive for your customer and all that good stuff. So moving right along. All right. Next, we have another setting is under selling as well. a lot of it's under selling in Squarespace, but it's all under some sort of setting, is we have payments. We want to get paid, right? And most platforms are going to have their own, recommended payment processor. Squarespace Payments, they have theirs. But looking at an e-commerce platform, you want to make sure that if you want to take Venmo, for example, that they can integrate with that. You're probably going to want to, use, very purposeful payment processors in that, if I have a brick and mortar store or I'm planning to do pop-ups and sell online, I have the equipment to basically, process that payment in person as well as online. And there's some sort of synchronization when an order is made on either side to the website. So this is where we need to probably go set up an account elsewhere if you're using something like Square or Stripe, and we're going to have to connect that Stripe or that Square account. And it's going to basically just ask us to log in with our credentials. Then when we give it permission to process payments through this outlet, then we can start to take payments. So this is an important one. And just know that if the thresholds have been changing over the years, but you may get a 1099K at the end of the year. These payment processors are now going to start, they have been, the threshold was much higher. It was like $20,000, but they're going to start issuing you basically tax forms to say, yes, we moved this amount of money for this person or this business. But it's something you're probably gonna have to set up separately unless you go with, their already baked in plan. But now we've got products on the website. We have got, our sales tax set up. So when someone goes through the process and they enter that zip code correctly, we charge them the right amount. We've got our shipping rules set up, to charge them that in addition to the price of the product and tax. And now we have the ability to take payment so they can enter their information. Woohoo! Now enter the what I would call the fulfillment stage. And this is where we're going to move outside of the settings that we were in and go back into this main dashboard view. And we're going to go, instead of under products where we added a product, now we're going to go to orders. And this is the area of the website that I don't have any orders to show you yet. So I've got a short little video that can kind of just describe, one, how it looks when an order comes in, because that's the most exciting part about an e-commerce website is getting an order to come in. I still remember my first order and I was like, cool. And now you go pack it and ship it. But also you have the ability to buy the packing, the shipping label, right, and print it out right from your home printer. And just tape it on there and either put it in the mailbox or schedule a pickup. So take a look at this.
With Squarespace, it's now easier than ever to sell your products online. With our built-in suite of fulfillment tools, you can print shipping labels directly from your website. This helps streamline the shipping process and prevents the need for third-party extensions. You can create and print your own shipping labels through Squarespace on the business or commerce subscriptions. To create a shipping label, start by logging into your site and navigating to your orders panel. From here, select a pending order that you would like to create a shipping label for. At the bottom of the order summary, select Purchase Label. Enter your name and return address, and then select your label format. Next, enter your package type, size, weight, and select the service. Next, review your order to confirm and purchase your shipping label. After completing your purchase, you can print the label directly from the confirmation page, or go back to the shipping page and print the label at another time. Please let us know if you have any other questions.
And I'm sorry for sharing that video, but I wanted to share some of the fulfillment aspect. That was it. An order comes in, we need to then take action on it, go pick, pack, and ship it, and print that shipping label and put it on there, and then mark it fulfilled. That will then trigger an email to go out to the customer who ordered the product that it's being fulfilled. And it's been shipped to them. It's pretty cool the way things work, and they make it really seamless. And since we're on the subject of videos, now there's one other thing I wanted to mention in terms of learning your e-commerce platform. And that's that LinkedIn Learning I mentioned it, I think, at the beginning, that's often available for free through your county library. And I wanted to just demonstrate an example of how to access it. So if you don't have a library card, most libraries now you can get one digitally, but I have one. So I'm going to go over to, in LA County, they call it, it's under their digital library, and go to LinkedIn Learning. Sometimes it may be under databases or digital library or something to that degree. But this is going to then allow us to log in through their library account as long as we have our own, library card and PIN. This is a phenomenal resource to learn not just Squarespace, but Wix and Shopify. This is actually how I learned Shopify to begin with. But so let's go Squarespace up at the top. And anything with, yeah, here's one. It says essential training. You've got, how to build a website, a lot of good resources, but sometimes they are, platform agnostic and sometimes they're platform specific. In this case, we want to learn
On voice on the
Squarespace.
internet.
And this is basically a 2 hour and 14-minute course. It's for beginners and intermediates that's taught by Jen Kramer, who I've watched a lot of her courses and she is phenomenal. But it's broken down into small little 1 minute, 2 minute videos that are really chronological and they'll dive in much deeper than the areas we've been able to cover today. So I wanted to share this with you as a resource, not only for your e-commerce website needs, but also even digital marketing, because that's usually where things will go next. It's like, okay, now that we've got things set up, let's go talk about, how do we market this new e-commerce website. But that's sometimes the myth is like, we are going to build it and they will come. Well, not exactly. So. But now is your homework. We are here at the University of Laverne, and I'm not a professor, but at a school, we always have homework. So I'm going to give you some homework today. And your homework is going to be to do what we've done with Squarespace, but not just Squarespace, other platforms that may interest you, Wix, WordPress, Shopify, etc. Is it big? No, I forget. There's another one. But I want you to walk away with this one feeling, at least, is that the important thing here is you're not alone. And so we offer free consulting services through the Small Business Development Center to help you put into practice a lot of what we talk about in our webinars. Now, I'll offer the caveat, we are not tech support, so don't call us and say my website's not working. You want to call Squarespace or Shopify. And that's also going to be a key element in your decision making to go with one or the other. How is their support? And based on the plan that you have. But when it comes to strategic planning and the thought process, when it comes to developing your website and learning it faster, we can give you some good strategic advice to help you get up to speed and running quickly with your website. So if you're watching this on Zoom, you're already a client. You don't have to sign up here. But if you are watching this on social, visit our website at lavernespdc.org/new client to sign up and become a client to take advantage of our no-cost consulting. But with that, I'll just say thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you today at today's How to Set Up an E-Commerce Website. We've hopefully provided you some good resources, and we hope to see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching.